Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the BoKcast, a music podcast. I'm one host.
I'm the other.
So we've got a ton of music to talk about as per usual, but this is sort of like a preamble to a second recording that we're going to do later on this month, because there's just so much to catch up with to get to the end of September, basically. So yeah, I think we're just going to have to talk about all the big standouts and the big stinkers from August, like sort of August into very early September, because at this point, early September has managed to bring
some interesting records.
Yeah.
There's been a few that I just listened to last night. We'll get into that, I guess.
Yeah. But I think one that we both listened to that I thought was actually like above average for this genre, because we know at this point we're working on that knowledge that I am not a particularly strong dance fan. I don't like EDM that much, but Blankmass came out with Animated Violence Mild. Yeah, another one of those garbage nonsense titles that he always has.
That's a reference to, they used to have it on 80s video games, didn't they?
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Okay, so it's like a rundown of content.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. That makes sense. Okay.
Which is sort of informs the record, really. I really liked it. It's great.
It is. It's very good. It's engaging in a way that good EDM can only be, where it's fucking loud and abrasive and glitchy.
It's nasty.
Yeah. It's a
banger fest.
Yeah. It's like in not one moment does it feel like he's phoning anything in. It's all really, really muscular.
7 bangers or 8 bangers and you're done.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's really all you need when it comes to that sort of stuff. And like, it's not IDM, it's not intelligent dance music. It's very much brutal, just thumping.
Yeah.
Crunching. I would even describe parts of it. I don't know what his sound is.
I don't know,
but it's like there's something brittle to it. Like it's made of glass, but not in a way that makes it like fragile and delicate sounding. It's brittle in a way that it feels like it's going to hurt you. Because it's fucking loud. Yeah.
It's more abrasive than anything he did with Fuck Buttons.
And that's saying something, because Fuck Buttons is loud and obnoxious too.
I loved Fuck Buttons.
Fuck Buttons is a great band.
Great. But this is... Yeah, it's just nasty, horrible record.
Yeah.
And it does that great thing. Sometimes dance music fell into a trap. Even the best dance bands fell into this trap where they thought to go heavy, I'm going to get some new metal guitars on this.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of sort of almost metalish instrumentation on this, but mostly it's just, you just make the beats as huge as possible. Like where the Prodigy fell down in their later records was that they thought, we'll put on this sort of new metal over the top. Whereas those later records where they're trying to be heavier are less heavy than Fat of the Land is, just based on the beefiness of the beats.
Yeah.
Or Music for the Jilted Generation is still the heaviest record they made, and it's the least sort of enthralled to mid-2000s pish metal.
Or like that sort of 90s punk aesthetic that sort of informed Fat of the Land a lot more.
Yes, yeah, and we'll get into Static X later in the video. Yeah, so this album avoids the sort of, it's a cliche now, but we'll get heavy on a dance record.
Yeah.
Let's just put in heavy metal.
I'm looking at you, Pendulum.
Yeah, oh my god.
It's like, we're heavy, we've got the guy for In Flames featuring on one of the songs.
Oh no.
So how about you eat the entirety of my ass?
But this record is, apparently it's about consumerism.
I can see that.
I can see that.
The bloody apple and stuff like that on the cover.
Sort of like jingly bits going on in the background, like almost like advert jingles.
Yeah.
And I guess it's not one for your granny, this record.
No.
It's
It-
heavy and nasty.
The thing is, though, we've basically not really said anything negative about this record, so I don't really understand why it's not like really up there for both of us. Only that I think he's made better stuff in the past.
Yeah.
And
Maybe.
I think that maybe it's just, it feels there's something disposable about it, and maybe that's by design, because of that whole like that sort of consumerism, kind of capitalist sort of undertones kind of shit going on. Maybe there is a little
quick
bit
fix,
of
and then it's away.
maybe there's something to do with that, because it doesn't feel like the kind of record where I'm like, that blew me away, I'm going to listen to it every day.
I think I liked it maybe a little more than you. I think this is my favourite of his solo stuff.
Okay.
I don't know if I like it as much as the last Fuck Buttons record, but it's a different sort of beast.
Yeah.
I think this one could be a grower for me. It's not my album of the month, but it could be subsequently.
Yeah.
I really liked it. It's just noisy, and it's got this nice, almost sort of retro. There's a lot of albums actually this month that have a sort of retro aesthetic, at least what I've heard. And this one, it doesn't become obnoxious. It's got this sort of 80s synthy video game noises through it, but it doesn't feel cloying. You know, it's sort of used to illustrate the point of the record, I guess, about sort of disposableness of consumerism and the rest of it. But yeah, absolute banger. I really liked it. It could in time get up there in my list, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do this one real quick. There's a really good little record out this month by a band called Shia Mag.
Okay.
And the album's called A Distant Call. Like the Blankmass record, it has a sort of retro aesthetic. This time it's sort of dealing with sort of noodly soft rock and I guess sort of power pop, sort of 80s balladry, hair metal-y type stuff. But what it does is, instead of having that sort of macho posturing of that type of genre, instead it's a female vocalist, and all the songs are about a migrant crisis or socialism or, you know, not being able to have being unemployed and the rest. So there's a lot of sort of social ills, very sort of left-leaning and interested in its social injustices, and it's great. It's good. It's a good record. It's fun. The lyrics and the subject matter is heavy and can be depressive, but it's powered along on this very sort of popular or sort of poppy sounding, sort of hair metal-y, sort of good old boys, good fun. So it's a strange record, just in terms of it shouldn't really gel, the sort of messaging and the sort of musicianship of it. Somehow it does, and it's really worth a listen. So it's good record, I would say.
Okay.
It's sort of, if you're into your sort of shouty, punky stuff, this is another good one. It's the last episode we talked about. Oh God, what were they called? Mannequin Pussy, where the music sort of fitted the subject matter more. So the subject matter there was also sort of more bleak, but the music was more abrasive. Whereas this one still has this sort of it's less. I guess it's about, this album is sort of like about global tragedies or global injustices, and then filtered through a sort of individual level.
Okay.
So you could have the migrant crisis or lack of affordable jobs, and then you would have on this same record how it's affecting a person individually, say, but the actual music is sort of uplifting and enjoyable on a real sort of stupid level. Just sort of like, it's like a Marxist Journey record. You know, it's good. It's a good record. I really liked it.
Okay. Because I hadn't really, I don't think I've really ever heard anything by Shia Mag before.
I think this is their second.
Because I saw this making waves.
Record.
I saw people talking about this, and I was
It's good. It is good. That's pretty cool.
I still haven't even gotten around to listening to that Mannequin Pussy album. I should have. Speaking of left wing leaning metal or like just music in general, did you know Neckbeard Death Camp have more music out this year?
They?
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
I actually followed him on Twitter as well. He's funny.
Oh,
he does like super lefty anarcho memes.
All right.
Like he does like daft memes about like Nazi metal.
All right.
And how they're like they try and sneak into the scene, and how basically like Neckbeard Death Camp and bands like them are trying to like annihilate Nazis from the black metal scene and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like I kind of like I like this
cool.
guy. I like this aesthetic,
cool.
and I like this sort of this grassroots movement of trying to make metal left again.
Yes, yeah.
Which
it's
is
always
nice.
had a difficult. There's always been a difficulty with metal and its political allegiances.
Yeah.
It's sort of, it should, on certain levels, it should be a sort of lefty sort of musical genre, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's forged in factories in the north of England, and it's about how shit life is, and you got no fucking jobs. But then it floats over to America where they have guns. And it's, there's a certain, I don't wish to generalise, but certainly there's a lot of new metal fans that have caused 2019 to be the year that it is.
Yes. Yeah, you can definitely feel it.
If you new metal fans of the 90s had not registered to vote, we wouldn't be in the situation we are.
There's definitely, you can tell a lot of people that used to be proper old school, like new metal-y type moshers, like in the Limp Bizkit and stuff like that, who probably have become full alt-right weirdos.
Hats. Yeah. It's that Duality video where all the smelly teenagers smash up the house. That's what they've done to democracy by voting.
I know we're living in a weird time just now where left-wingers value democracy so much
we don't want
that we don't want it anymore. Because people are so fucking thick and people are so full of hate that I'm like, I don't trust these people to vote for anything.
Yeah.
This isn't fair. How come we get to live in their world?
Scary times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that aside.
Yeah.
I have one that, like, I mean, I think I'm alone in listening to this one, maybe in the entire fucking country of the UK.
Okay.
Because it's all one country, remember? United. We're better united. Killswitch Engage Atonement is another Killswitch Engage album. It's 2019 and metalcore is dead. But Killswitch Engage rattle on regardless. The wheels are falling off the metalcore wagon, but somehow they're still trundling along, and it is absolutely, truly a Killswitch Engage record. That's pretty much all I have to say about it, other than it would have been the pig stinker of the month were it not for another record which we'll talk about later. But I know you don't really have a frame of reference for metalcore because you didn't really enjoy any metalcore.
I was not a fan. I did get taken to see Killswitch Engage.
Yes, as supported by Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah, and I don't remember the concert.
Neither do I, actually, and I like the band. I don't remember a goddamn thing about it, and I can thoroughly say at this point that I still enjoy like the first 3 Killswitch Engage records, but it's not going to be something that I put on the reg, and I realise that they're a bit shit. Mm-hmm. And everything that they've made past... what was it called? As Daylight Dies, maybe the album was called. Anything past that, I thought was shit. And all it made me want to do was go back and listen to their old stuff, and it made me want to go back and listen to old 36 Crazy Fists, which were also a great metalcore band. But again, they've been trundling along, pushing out absolute mediocrity for years now. They had 3 beasts in the sort of 2000s into the sort of early 2010s, and they've done nothing since. And that's exactly what's happened with Killswitch Engage, just releasing absolute nothing records that do nothing for anyone.
So is it a bad record?
It's good if you like metalcore that doesn't sound like it's changed at all in like a decade.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I can say. It's like, it's not a bad record if you are afraid of change.
Okay. Well, I was thinking, it's been a while since I listened to a record that I wouldn't have listened to normally. Mm-hmm. The last time would have been probably the Aria Grande album. So I thought, this month I'm going to listen to someone I know is popular, but I've never really listened to. So I listened to the new Lana Del Rey record called Norman fucking Rockwell. For the uninitiated, Lana Del Rey is sort of swoony balladry, Americana, sort of surfer rocky type music. You know, it's very, very sort of, we're living in California in the 60s. There's a certain Beach Boysness to it, but she is very deadpan. Yeah. All the vocals and seem to have a certain dissatisfied quality to it. Yeah. Sort of, you can tell she's a big Twin Peaks fan. It's like, oh, Americana, and then, but there's an underside to it.
Yeah, like her music is like the Black Mirror of Americana, where it's like, what if Americana, but secretly, guess what, guys? America's bad, yeah?
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff.
I didn't mind the record. I thought it was okay. It's definitely... her songs definitely fit a type. She's got a very poor taste in men, according to the songs. You know, everybody's a waster or a sort of small time criminal, or a sort of, she needs a bartender to look after her, and these sorts of things. Sort of, so she's into sort of the bad boys, right? And it's just sort of this general wistfulness about living in the sun, and this sort of underclass that she sort of swims through. Some of the lyrics are quite funny. Some of it's quite witty and clever. I quite liked it. It's not my favourite record of the month. And there's too much of it. It's about 70 minutes long, and a lot of it is sort of piano-led, balladry, and her tone of voice doesn't really change much in the record. But saying that, it is good. There's little flourishes of sort of electronica that go on in some of the tracks, and definitely some of the songs are better than... I think the singles have been really good. I think there's one called Venice Bitch that goes on for about 9 minutes, but it's actually sort of works in a strange way.
I think I've heard that one.
There's a couple of other sort of the big sort of single releases have actually all been really well picked. Some of the other album tracks are sort of just more of the same. Yeah. So what she does is quite good in some ways, but it was just too similar. Like, I could have used some more variety on the record.
That's kind of her MO though, because I listened to that album that Video Games is on.
Oh yeah, that's like the first one or something.
It's her first one, and honestly, she hasn't changed the way that she does things in so many albums at this point. Whatever, was she on album 3 or 4 at this point?
Yeah.
It's like, I couldn't distinguish a big difference between the start point and where she is now.
Yeah.
It sort of feels like, I get it, she's accomplished, and like I think it's like she makes decent music.
Yes,
but
it's so
so much of the same stuff though.
Sort of, I don't know if I could go to a concert, let's say, and pick out, that's a song. That's a song I've heard. I've definitely heard all the songs, but they all sound the same. And this is coming from somebody that can listen to,
that's becoming our fucking go-to catchphrase at this point. It's like, and we like drone metal.
And we like drone metal. Yeah. But this is, it's not boring, really.
It's a bit boring.
It's sort of the picture she paints with her lyrics are quite clever and quite evocative. It's very cinematic. I think she is a good lyricist. Just the musicality to it, I could use a bit more punch occasionally. Everything is very laconic and deadpan, and it's almost like looking at these sort of characters or situations at a distance.
Yeah.
You're sort of being held at arm's length. And I could use a little more gusto, I guess. But yeah, it's pretty good. 4 farts out of 7. 3 farts out of 5. See, I went to 7 there because initially I said 4 and I meant to say 3. This happens, kids, when you get older. You think of one number, but you say another. I was thinking a 3 out of 5, but I said a 4, so I thought, well, it's not a 4 out of 5, so I'm going to have to go 4 out of 7. But if you want to cut this all down to me just going 3 farts out of 5, it's definitely 3 farts out of 5.
Cool. I mean, yeah, I can't. I'm not really going to go.
It's definitely the best record I've ever heard by her.
Yeah. Yeah, she's outdone herself with, like, she's went from completely ho-hum to not as ho-hum, and that's an accomplishment.
It's actually, to give her some credit, it was interesting enough that I would be like, I would listen to the next record. I'd listen to the next record, see if there was any change there, if she can keep the sort of clever lyricism and just have a little more variety in the music. Could be a solid album, could be really good.
Yeah.
So there you go, Lana. Give me another record next time with a little more variety, and you'll be my pick of the month.
Okay, here's the thing. I dipped my toe in the SLP. It's the SLP by the SLP, and it's the solo project of the guitarist for Kasabian. Serge Pizzario, or whatever the fuck his name is. It's his side project.
Okay.
And it's kind of exactly what you would expect from someone who's the guitarist for Kasabian. His voice is not good, and he's still rocking a Paul Weller like mod hairdo.
Yeah.
And it's 2019. Like, he's got buffoned hair and the absolutely shitey, stinky fashion sense, and the music is.
You just got me with shitey. It was. I wasn't expecting shitey.
I'm not performing at the top level of insults, really. I think shitey's the best I'm going to come away with right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, he made a record that's more electronic and more like sort of acoustic-y, something that's a little bit less stadium rock and more like, you know, the kind of nice electronic aspects the first Kasabian record had.
Oh yeah, that first record's great.
Yeah, that first record's amazing. They've not been able to top it since, and it's been a long career for them. But like, he has made this album a really, really bland pop record, but with those nice little bits of electronic mixed in that sound okay sometimes. And like, I'm not going to say I'll listen to the whole thing. I eventually switched it off because I got bored. But it's definitely not one of the worst things I've ever heard. It's just not that interesting. So that was the one I dipped my toe in the most, I'd say.
Well, we've come to the part of the podcast you all love, where I pick a record that is so strange it's going to take John probably a day to find the album artwork. This is a band called Tinari Wen, I think that is. And the album's called Ahmad Jar, and they are a North Mali band. I think they're sort of Sahara sort of based. They they live out in the desert, sort of nomadic type lifestyle. And it's sort of scuzzy desert rock.
Okay.
But more sort of it's sort of African rock music. They've been going since like the 70s, in one form or another. So there's older members of the band and younger guys that they've brought in. I think they're a 9-piece, and it's just sort of scuzzy rock. That's pretty cool. And their guests on the album are quite impressive. They've got Warren Ellis from the Bad Seeds.
Nice.
So the more sort of Islamic, sort of desert inspired sort of musicness will then be taken over by sort of interesting sort of violin solos, and it's really quite interesting and varied, and they get different vocalists in, and they've got Stephen O'Malley from Sun, and it's just cool. It's just a pretty cool record. It's just like sort of, I like desert rock. I like stuff like Sleep and Caius, but this is literally desert rock. It's not metally at all. It is very scuzzy with the production, but it's more hypnotic, and it's more sort of tuned into the sort of sparseness of the desert. It's like the wind blowing across the dunes. So if that sounds like it's up your street, I'd recommend it. It's pretty cool. The other one I had, unless you've got one in between.
No.
The other one I had is, there has been a hotly anticipated by some remastering or remake, I guess, of a previously lost Miles Davis record. Miles Davis, legendary jazz musician, been dead about 28 years. There was some recordings that he made in 1985, and they've been remade with other guest vocalists, but most of his musicianship has survived, and they've released it, and it's called Rubber Band. Because it's Miles Davis from 1985, it is more pop orientated than the purists would like. And that's my sort of fault with it. I do like Miles Davis. I like the rockier stuff. I like sort of late 60s through the 70s, sort of Bitches Brew and On a Corner, the Jack Johnson soundtrack. They're all sort of what I like. And then what he did in the 80s was, he was the most commercially successful he ever was, but it became sort of sub-Prince.
Right.
So that's sort of... And this record is like that. It's his... Some of the musicianship's on it's really interesting. His solos are great on a couple of the tracks, but it basically sounds like sort of Prince imitations. Or like sort of sub-James Brown funk. So it's one for the completists. It's not a bad record. It's an interesting curio, but it's not a lost masterpiece or anything.
Okay.
It's just Warner Brothers have had these tapes lying about for 28 years and they've went, well, let's put it out. Sometimes you get a decent lost record. I think the John Coltrane sort of lost record from last year was very good. But because Miles Davis's career is so long and varied, typically if you're going to get something from the 80s, for me, it's not up my street.
Yeah.
I've preferred some sort of an album that was lost from a decade beforehand. It's not a bad record. It's just for the completists entirely. It's, my dad's a big Miles Davis fan. I'm going to tell him don't bother because I know he'll hate it. So there you go. Yeah.
Fair enough.
And I think we'll probably now get onto the ones that we've both listened to.
Yeah. We could just want to do King Gizzard. Because other than King Gizzard, the only other thing I have to talk about is Ginger.
Ginger, yeah.
So, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard with Infest the Rat's Nest, their second album of this year.
Yeah, very prolific band. 5 albums in 2017 alone.
It absolutely is the definition of quantity over quality. Like, I have never been interested in this band before because it's just too much.
Yeah.
And I do think that a lot of their stuff just starts to all blend into one long song for me.
Okay.
But this record is it's a thrash record.
It's great.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It came out of nowhere and it sort of feels like they really tried to shake it up a bit. I know that it wasn't the one Fishing for Fishies, the one before this, wasn't it a bit more mellow?
Fishing for Fishies in April, I think, of this year. I don't think we didn't get to talk about it. It's sort of, that's more sort of glam stompy.
Okay.
So like every single album they do, they seem to be setting themselves a task in terms of what we're going to do, a different sort of take on a genre. So Fishing for Fishies was sort of glam stomp, sort of with a little bit of sort of bluesy folk, I guess. It's pretty good. It's all right. But this one's a much better record.
Yeah.
This one is not. If you say it's metal, people will think it's sort of modern metal, but it's actually more in line with sort of almost proto metal, like the earliest thrash metal, like early 80s, even sort of British new wave of heavy metal. Clearly they're fans of that music and they know how to do it really well.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good record. It's my album of the month.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's a shock to the system.
Wow, yeah, okay.
I loved it. I thought it was great. It just reminded me of like a really good old school Iron Maiden record, or like the first sort of Slayer records that you would get. It's just beefy. It doesn't overstay its welcome. And I quite like with King Gizzard. I quite like them, but I've never got overly enthused about them. It's like the albums are interesting. I thought I can't remember what's it called. Nonagon was great.
Yeah.
And some of the records of 2017 were pretty cool, but this is like the best thing they've ever put out. Yeah, so this would be my album of the month. Just in terms of pure enjoyment. Yeah. It's infectious and it's a really sort of cool, weird concept. Like it's a dying planet. Yeah. Sort of post-apocalyptic and it's sort of nature.
I admire this band's their attention to detail and the sheer amount of there's a definite vibe of creative exuberance off of them where it's just like they revel in making stuff. Yeah. And that's why they put out so much shit every year. It's because they're making stuff constantly and they've always got, as you say, they've always got an idea in mind or an aesthetic in mind, a genre that they want to tackle.
Like the next record will not sound like this record.
No.
It'll probably come out in 2 days.
and that's probably why this is so captivating, because it feels like it came completely out of left field for them. Yeah. But they nailed it, and it's a lot of fun, and it's been a long, long time since you heard a thrash record.
Yeah, like a good thrash record.
Sort
of thrash record. Yeah. It's been a long time. Yeah, I really liked it.
I think I mean, it's not my album of the month by any stretch, but
we know what your album of the month is.
But
if you listen to the last episode.
God, yeah. But honestly, I will say this though. It is obvious what my album of the month is, but there's another record that I could talk about for fucking days as well.
Oh yes, I know that. I think
adored.
I could do the same with this next record.
Yeah.
You'll be talking about Ginger,
yes.
I'm guessing.
Brockhampton's Ginger.
Yeah, it's great.
It's it really is something. A sort of, I'm not, as we discussed in the last episode, you're either a Brockhampton zealot or you like them, and that's about it. And I used to be, I liked them, and that was about it.
And now you're a zealot.
Now I'm a zealot. That Ginger has turned me into a zealot.
Great.
It's an astounding record because it not only has the little undercurrent of fun and like sort of electric sort of I don't know, the energy that you get from a Brockhampton record. It has that in little dribs and drabs because most of the record is incredibly down.
It's not a bangers record. No, really.
You can feel the sort of the creative energy in it, and you can feel the fun is under this deep layer of like sadness and depression and like a sense of betrayal.
Yeah, and there's everything. A lot about anxiety on this record
because Amir Van fucked them over royally, and this is their breakup record.
Yeah, and he was the best rapper in the group. Yeah, so it's the least sort of hip hop orientated, I would say.
Saying that though, there's some fucking killer verses on this record.
Some of them have really upped their game.
Kevin Abstract is a fucking great rapper.
Kevin was always like the second, sort of maybe the second best, and he's the sort of head of. So he's now become the best rapper in the group. But some of the other ones, like Yorba, actually is really good. He's the one with Yorba. Is it Yorba or Joba?
Is it the guy with the shaved head but the daughter's haircut?
The back? Sort of shitty hair.
Joba.
Yeah, Joba.
Joba, he's great. And I love
Joba's great.
My favourite verse of his is the one that he did on Boogie, where he's like screaming it.
Oh, that's
he's like
great.
shouting it. Yeah. That like Joba has a lot of energy to him, and it feels like he can sing as well. That's the other thing. Like he can kind of go between those two things. But like it does feel like they're focusing more on this core 6 members. Yeah. Like all their videos for this record are basically the same 6 people. Yeah. And they're all aesthetically very stripped down, but very creative and weird.
Yes, yeah.
And I'd say so far there hasn't been a bad single from the album. Like,
I mean, we spoke about it in the last one, but every single, like the first 4 singles released pretty rapidly.
It was like one a week for every week building up to the record.
All great.
Yeah. Like If You Pray Right, I've Been Born Again's maybe the weakest of all the singles. Yeah, but that's not saying much because it's still a great track. Great, yeah. But the If You Pray Right's killer, absolutely amazing. Yeah. And then like Boy Bye was amazing.
Boy Bye's so good.
No Halo was a lot like a big. It's a bit of a swerve in a completely different direction because it's definitely more R&B orientated.
Yeah, and it sort of gets you, because that's the opener for the record, it sort of sets out what you're going to get in this record.
But it's sweet and pretty. Yeah. There's something very, very beautiful about that song. And like, and then you got like Dearly Departed, which was painful. Like it's really genuinely kind of painful to watch that video and like listen to that song because you can tell there's definitely an element of just like this is their catharsis, this is them getting over it. Yeah. So they've got a lot of melodrama in it. There's a lot of melodrama in this record, but that's fine because sometimes you need that. You need a record that's a little bit hysterical. You need them to be hysterical for an album so that they can get it out of their system.
Yes, yeah.
And I can only hope that it's sort of like this turmoil.
A palate cleanser.
Yeah, it completely wipes the slate clean. This gets it, like, it's them bleeding out the venom. And now that's it done. And hopefully the next record that they make, it'll be another party banger record, but it'll be like... They've been reforged in the crucible of adversity, and now they can make an even better record than ever before. Because Ginger is an honest to God, like, sort of hip hop R&B masterpiece as far as I'm concerned.
It's great,
except for the last two tracks. The last two tracks are the part where I think the album falls apart for me.
Yeah, okay.
And it's because the title track, Ginger, comes just before these two tracks.
Okay.
Then what the fuck are they called again? It's Love Me for Life and Victor Roberts are the last two tracks.
Yeah, they sort of go off the boil a wee bit.
Yeah, it's a massive step down from the title track because the title track has such a big crescendo.
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful way to
like
close.
That should have been the end of the record.
It's like you should have ended on this note. It's such a high note to end on.
And then you got these two other songs that are not as good, but still alright.
Yeah, they're still fine. It's just they feel like an afterthought.
Aye.
But roundly, fucking loved Ginger a whole lot.
Yeah, it's really good. How does it compare to...
Oh, heavens to Betsy.
How does it compare to...
Wait. I have to get my stinker.
Okay, alright, yeah, sure, get your stinker in.
I'm sorry, but that new Friendly Fires record sucked out loud.
Oh.
Inflorescent, it's called. It's my...
Pig stinker of the month.
Oh, you've got to do your pitch shift?
Yes, I'll do that in post because apparently I can't do it live because it doesn't record it, but Pig Stinker of the Month award winner.
Pig stinker.
It's and the thing is as well, I have no frame of reference at all for Friendly Fires. I have never listened to a Friendly Fires record before, so I wasn't really sure what to expect, but it sure as hell wasn't what I got.
Okay.
I didn't know what they were meant to sound like, but what they sound like on this record is hellish. I really don't like this aesthetic that they're going for. Okay. I'm going to do verbatim reading of notes because I was genuinely furious when I wrote this. I feel nothing. It's like listening to a band that isn't aware that their genre has died. It just feels so dated. It's a camp sort of indie-tronica sound that feels so toothless and cold. No joke, the beat on Heaven Let Me In places feels like royalty-free music you would hear in a nightclub scene in a B-movie. I don't know if that's what they're going for, but it sounds like shit. The cadence in your man's voice during the chorus for Sleep Talking, Will You Sleep, sounds exactly like your man on that Caribbean Queen song. So it's like, while you sleep, and it's like Caribbean Queen. It sounds exactly the same to me. It just started frustrating me.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to listen to Caribbean Queen instead. There's just too much of that ba-da-ba-ba-ba shit in this record. It sounds like they're about to say, I'm fucking loving it. Every fucking song has ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-da in it, and I'm like, no. It's 2019. We're not doing this anymore.
Oh,
please move on. Like indie-tronica and like that sort of stuff was perfected by LCD Sound System because they never once wore the moniker of indie-tronica. They're above that, but they can be classified as it. Then you're thinking of things like Klaxons, but Klaxons were way heavier and way more fun. Yeah. They were indie and they had electronic influences. I don't know who was listening to indie-tronica that sounded like this. But God help them, they need better music in their life.
I remember the first two records. I think my brother was quite into them, and they were okay. You know, it was sort of indie landfill at the time.
Yeah.
But there was more of an aesthetic towards sort of 80s holiday music, I guess. Sort of calypso-y type.
Yeah, you can hear the calypso marimba sort of influence in it. It's just
it's like Club Tropicana, drinks are free.
It's basically like
or like something better like orange juice or it doesn't. Those first two records don't sound like a George Michael record. I don't know why I just sang that.
Club Tropicana is a better song than anything on this record.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Fair enough. Club Tropicana, that's a good song.
You know what else is a good song? Caribbean Queen,
Careless Whisper as well. That's a good song.
See all the songs that these bands are trying to ape, all that sound from the 80s, you'd be better off just listening to the songs that they're trying to rip off because they're better.
Yeah.
Like,
listen to A Certain Ratio record. Just listen to the best of A Certain Ratio. It's better than this record, probably.
It really did sound so fucking dated to me. It's like
not dated in a good way.
No, not dated in a good way. Not dated in that way that they're like, we wish we were from the 80s.
Yeah.
It's like, remember the 80s? Yeah, I fucking remember the 80s. I was born in it, you idiot. And I hated it for that 1 year I was in it.
John remembers all 6 months that he was alive in the 80s.
But also, I'm very fucking over this whole 80s wave, sort of fucking neon-drenched nostalgia trip bullshit. The fucking Stranger Things shite that we've got going on. Fucking move on, people, please, for the love of fucking Christ. We get it. Ghostbusters was a good movie. We get it. The Goonies, we get it. Fucking shut up.
I'm waiting for that season of Stranger Things. It's all about trickle down economics.
Laissez-faire capitalism.
Yeah. What they should do is they should do an episode of Stranger Things for about 80s nostalgia. That you heard. That urban legend about the animator that was working on the Care Bear movie.
No.
And he's working on the Care Bear movie, like one sequence for like a year, and he hated it. And then he got cut out of the film and he killed himself.
Oh no.
That's what 80s nostalgia does to you people. Do they still make The Simpsons?
Apparently it's still going. Or its corpse is being trotted out every year for 28 episodes or however many episodes they do per season.
Hey, speaking about corpses that have been trotted out.
Oh my god, that was a killer segue.
I feel so bad now, but it's
true,
such
though.
a killer. My least favourite record this month is the new Iggy Pop record, Free, which in my notes, all I've put is a beguiling mess. Iggy Pop, legendary lead singer of the Stooges, and he's released some genuine classics. The first Three Stooges records are great. When they came back, it was terrible. And some of his solo stuff, The Idiot and Lust for Life, they're great. He's always had a sort of quite spotty and sort of strange solo career. For all of the sort of wild man rock and roll antics, you'll then have an album of sort of French lounge music. So he's always had a sort of esoteric musical taste, and if you aren't aware of the sort of strangeness of some of his back record, this latest record will confuse you greatly. If you go into this record thinking it's going to be Stooges sort of proto rock and roll antics, you're not going to get that. What it is it's sort of tone poems over sort of almost like free jazz soloing of a saxophone, sort of soft electronica, whilst Iggy recites either his own lamentable lyrics, which are terrible, or he does Under Milk Wood, sort of Dylan Thomas,
right,
does verses from that, or pieces written by Lou Reed. It's strange, to say the least. It's such a bizarre record, and his voice, I like his voice, but on this record, for whatever reason, there's one song in particular called James Bond, which is not like any of the other songs on the record. This one is meant to be a sort of silly throwaway sort of 1960s French pop song, I guess. But it's terrible. It has all the momentum in terms of the sort of electronic sort of backing, and his voice actually sounds like a Tonetta record on this, and not in a good way. I love a bit of Tonetta, but you find yourself listening to it going, what the fuck was the thinking here? It's terrible. It's Yeah, it's my. I'm not even gonna. Maybe it is my.
Pig stinker.
And it feels so like because the last record, Post Pop Depression, was actually something of a return to form. Josh Homme produced it, and there was sort of interesting stuff on it. But this is just, in fact, it's not a pig stinker because it's at least experimental enough. It's like, what was the thinking here? There's some interesting things on it, but once again, this is just for the completists. If you got every other Iggy Pop record, all 87 of them or whatever it is, and you need another one that's not very good, this is the record for you. For me, it was a slog. The anticipation mounts.
Surprising absolutely no one, my album of the month is Fear and Not Kill 'Em by Tool.
Fair enough.
It's everything I wanted a Tool record to be that took way too long to get to me. And as pissed off as I am at the fact that, yes, it took 13 years, it is very, very, very worth the wait.
Okay.
It's a perfect distillation of everything that Lateralis and 10,000 Days brought to the table, with absolutely none of the flab of 10,000 Days.
Okay.
And that's saying something because the record is 80 minutes long, without the 3 additional instrumental tracks that get added in the streaming.
Is this album about a wedding as well?
I honestly don't know. No, the record has like a lot of stuff going on. Clearly, from the title alone, Fear Inoculum, it's suggesting something of like sort of overcoming anxieties and like working through stuff. A lot of it is abstract in that way that Tool is known for and are very good at. And the number 7 is a big deal on the record. There are actually only 7 tracks, and it lasts like 80 minutes with those 7 tracks. The 3 instrumentals are like 3 minutes long a piece or some shit like that, and it brings it up to 90.
Sort of interludes.
Yeah, they're like interludes that add nothing, and the interlude at the end of the record, they put it after the last track, Tempest. They put an interlude after Tempest, and it's one of the dumbest moves I could ever imagine, because the Tempest rather, and it's spelled with a 7 instead of the T at the beginning, because again, the number 7 is a big deal. I've not checked this, and I know for a fact I'm not a fucking musical expert, so I don't understand this sort of shit. I bet you they're working on things like 7/8 time, and like probably multiples of 7 time and stuff like that. I bet you that's what they're doing in the whole record. Like, haven't looked into it, but I bet you that's what's going on.
Okay, fair enough.
So like, yeah, those interludes don't really add anything. I was listening to the album as if it had no interludes. I was listening to the physical release, the 7-track physical release.
Okay.
And it's 7 perfect tracks that wander around in beautiful ways, and like they've got movements, internal movements, as all good Tool tracks tend to do. Doesn't have as much dynamic range, but it's definitely building in this like world of grooves. They build into, like, they go from grooves and then they build up from there.
Okay, that sounds interesting. Yeah.
And the record, it doesn't deviate much from the sound that they've had for ever since like Lateralis, really. But there's definitely more in terms of like Danny Carey, the drummer. He's killing it on this record. Like, it feels like he got the most amount of input. There's an entire song called Chocolate Chip Trip that's like a drum solo, and that's it. It's like a 4-minute long drum solo or something, and it's phenomenal. And Maynard James Keenan, the vocalist, like, I've always loved his vocal style. I always like really, really like the way he sings. But this album, he's fucking killing it as well. Like, he goes tender
Okay.
in a way that I've never heard him really be before, because he's always had that ability to sound more fragile. Like, he doesn't do he can go down, he can bring it down, it's not all roaring ferocity. He can sing very clean, very, very melodically. But on this record, I would actually say he gets genuinely beautiful in places.
Okay.
Like, especially on Fear Inoculum, when they released that single, I was like, wow, this is like, I've never heard Maynard James Keenan have that much of a lyrical flutter in his voice. It's so pleasant to listen to, and it's mixed in with all this really crushingly heavy metal with all this like amazing like sort of plodding grooves that build to these crushing big crescendos, especially Tempest. Tempest is a roller coaster of a track, and it's actually got a lyric that I want to get tattooed on me now.
All right.
It's just, a tempest must be just that. Is it just Maynard James Keenan just keeps repeating that? A tempest must be just that. It's like, this is perfect. That's everything that I wanted Tool to bring to me after so many years.
It's 13 years, right?
13 years is a long time to wait for a record.
Yeah.
And I understand that was them being big babies, and also them dealing with legal troubles that they kind of got themselves into. It's kind of them to blame for this.
All right, okay.
They're not... Especially Maynard James Keenan doesn't come across as a good guy. I think Maynard James Keenan's a dick.
Yeah.
And all their shit about being like weirdly like Prince, where he was like, he didn't trust the internet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Being like that and keeping your music off streaming services is so antiquated and dumb.
Yeah.
And I was so happy when the stuff finally made it to Spotify, but I was like, you guys not only missed out on money, if you want to think of it in those terms, you not only missed out on money, you missed out on exposure that you could have been having for 13 years while you were sitting on your ass.
But they did all go to... I mean, so many of those singles, I've never heard them, but I know that they all went to the Billboard charts and the rest of it just because they were suddenly available.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, like the Tool fan base is very loyal, and they are more than willing to make you make these singles that have been out for fucking decades immediately like back on the top of the charts, because like they're just that. They were that hungry for Tool.
Well, I'd heard the reason for the delay was that Maynard James Keenan, he thought, I'll get this album out because because he doesn't need to get his wine out at the moment.
Yeah,
it's all to do with the cycles of his grapes.
Yeah.
That's what I'd heard as the...
He's a vintner now.
Yeah.
And that's... I would expect nothing less from a guy who's as pretentious and cunty as Maynard James Keenan. He is a massive cunt, and I don't really... I mean, he's been accused of like sexual misconduct in the past and everything, so like I don't have any fucking sympathy for the guy. And he's very much the kind of... He goes on Joe Rogan's podcast and stuff like that. He's very much that kind of guy.
Right, okay.
You know the type, I mean.
Oh, we know the type of guy.
Fucking...
So, it should out... But outside of that, it should out in the month.
It is an honest-to-God actual masterpiece.
So it would be a very fine wine then.
It would be...
what sort of wine would it be?
Wine that doesn't taste like vinegar, so like okay, it wouldn't be a wine then. It would be an alcohol that actually tastes good, so not wine.
Oh, that's a hot take. John doesn't like wine.
Wine's garbage. People drink something that tastes not like vinegar and pish.
You just not had the right wine until now.
I honestly, I would really, really love to be into wine, but every white wine I've had tastes like vinegar and pish.
Oh, don't drink the white
and
stuff.
every red I've had tastes like vinegar, pish, and trees.
Yeah, we'll do a podcast where I'll drink wine with you. I'll get you some decent wine. Shock news. The wank on the podcast likes a glass of wine.
I'm a gin and beer guy these days.
I'll tell you what, I'll listen to this album and I'll tell you what type of wine it is.
Okay.
because I've never heard Tool, so
I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to. Like, it's not gonna be like a book club recommendation because it's too new.
Yeah.
But I just absolutely insist that you listen to this record.
I'll definitely listen to it before I come up with my top 10 of the year list.
I don't think it's going to appear anywhere in your top 10. I really don't think you're going to fall in love with Tool.
You never know.
You kind of are a Tool fan, or you aren't. You don't really become one.
Fair enough.
You're just born a Tool fan. It's weird. I honestly don't think there are many people that would convert to liking Tool.
Okay.
You just always liked them.
I'll give it a go.
Or you fucking hate them. And I think you might hate them.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So
we get into the book club.
Yes, let's discuss what we recommended each other this month. I'll let you start this time because I started last time.
Yes, and if we finished on me, it would end on a sour note.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see just how much you hated this record because I imagine it's going to be a lot.
So, the album you gave me was Wisconsin Death Trip from Static X.
Yes.
From 1999. So Static X, you'd taken me to see them. I don't remember that. I also don't remember that gig. They're a sort of industrially new metal band. And even at their prominence, they were never the top tier.
No.
What is most distinct about this album is his vocals and the actual instrumentation on it, and I enjoyed this album probably the least out of all the ones we've listened to in this book club section. Not actually because it was that bad, but just because on repeat listens it didn't provide anything additionally. You know, when I first listened to the Coheed and Cambria record, the first time I hated it, and then the second, the third time I was like, there's bits in it I actually like. Whereas this record, it's just sort of samey.
Yeah.
And then on the second listen, I didn't get anything else out of it. The third listen, I didn't get anything else out of it. So I was like, well, it's not improved. It's just stagnated with every subsequent listen. Look, the music on it, it's very dated. Which, okay, if it was made in 1999, I'll give it some sort of leeway. But even by the standards of the time, I think it sounds dated. I think the biggest issue with the album is they're not distinct enough as a band. They sound to me very much like a sort of one of those also bands.
Yeah.
So you've got the heavy hitters for industrial metal or new metal, and then you've got this also band. And they're very formed by their influences. So you listen to the record and you go, well, I've heard Ministry do better. I've heard Nine Inch Nails do better. He's taken the vocals from an early Korn record. It's sort of very, it's sort of very much a sort of patchwork of influences. And it's fine.
Yeah.
I didn't particularly enjoy it, but I didn't particularly hate it. I could go through the tracks.
I get the feeling there's not going to be enough variance in them.
There's probably not enough variance. I mean, for example, my notes are basically with every single track, I was just going a little bit of Ministry here, a little bit of Rammstein here, a little bit of Korn, squelchy guitars, vroom vroom, very Rammstein, very Korn. Yeah, so that's pretty much my notes on the record. The track I liked. I did like some things in it. I liked some of the sort of artificial noises that were going on in the background, but the production is a little muddy.
Yeah,
it's not very well produced.
Yeah.
At one point in the song Stem, I started to think, is that a Bjork sample in the background that they've messed with? And that piqued my interest, but then I got bored again. Then basically the whole album is sort of one note.
Yeah, very much so. But like I'd say like I Am and Stem are like the two best tracks on the whole record.
Yeah.
Like Stem sort of breaks that monotony a little bit.
Yeah, it's sort of, you get used to the sort of squelchy squelch, big guitar, and then the vocals come in. The song I liked best, I quite like Stem. Then it gets a bit boring.
Yeah.
I quite like the last song. I quite like December.
Mm-hmm.
It was the least new metal-y of all the songs. It's got a slow, sort of nice synth start. It's the longest song, and then it's got these sort of nice jagged synths come in about halfway through. So it's probably the most purely electronic song on the record. It's the most Nine Inch Nails like of any of the songs, but it comes too little too late in the record. Saying all that, it's not like horrific. I didn't want to.
No.
I could get through it 3 times, but it was background music.
Mm-hmm.
You just hear this sort of anonymous sort of sub Rammstein, sub Ministry electronic shite.
It's genuinely probably one of the heaviest records that anyone that was into nu metal at the time had ever heard.
Right, okay.
Like that's the one thing it had going for it, I'd say, is like it bridged that gap of being at the time when I was into nu metal and stuff, it was genuinely like one of the heaviest things I'd ever heard. And that's not really saying much for the time because my frame of reference was so small at the time.
Yeah.
That's probably why Static X captivated me in such a way, and that like later on when they like developed the sound a little tiny bit, they started to have like bigger singles in that, and like there's some tracks out there that are alright.
Okay.
Yeah. It's absolutely nothing special.
Yeah.
Definitely, it feels that way. Like looking back at it, because I was like, I'm actually like trying to make an effort as well to listen to the albums that I give you to listen to it as well.
Yeah, I've tried to do
just to try and refresh my memory a little bit as well, because I did not remember Wisconsin Death Trip at all when I recommended it. It was just because that shit with Wayne Static coming back for the dead.
That's more interesting than the album.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
there's a great documentary in that scenario.
I want to know who Zero is. I want to know who Wayne Static's death mask is.
And how the fuck have the family went? Yeah, fine.
Yeah, we're okay with this.
Yeah, they're fine. Yeah, whatever. It's of its time, and I asked because I met your Argentinian reporter, good friend Jamie, and I told him I've known Jamie for years, and I asked him I'm listening to his Static X record, and he said it was fucking dated when it came out.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, you can hear it. You can totally hear it on the record. It's
yeah.
I don't want to be too negative about it because I genuinely didn't hate it. I just thought it was.
I mean, it is kind of loathsome in a way, though. Like
but it's not like went out its way to annoy me. It would be a solid 1.5 farts out of 5.
You gave me Meat Puppets 2.
Yes.
From 1984. It's cowpunk. Yeah. Cowpunk Americana, and it's definitely not like anything I've really ever heard before.
Yeah.
It goes fucking hard in places. Like it's good fast punk stuff that I like. You can say it is analogous to other punk.
Yes, yeah.
But it's definitely got a weird sort of bluegrassy, like definitely in places I was like, this is like a bluegrass track that has punk guitar mixed in.
Yes, yeah.
Like, just somehow it just feels like it's been fleshed out with some electric guitar. And that's not a negative. I thought it was like weirdly captivating in places, this album, but it's also, this is maybe the album that you've given me so far that I find the most patchy.
Okay,
It's the one that I really enjoyed in places and thought was painfully boring in others.
Okay, yeah.
And again, I did a kind of like a track by track breakdown, but eventually the track by track breakdown breaks down.
Yeah.
And I stopped being able to say specific things because it feels like the album kind of it stays in place for a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
So it opens up with Split Myself in Two. And that immediately was like, this should not have been an album you like right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Because the guy's vocals are weird and hard to take.
Yes.
And I thought you probably would have got pissed off by that. I don't know why you're so into this album.
I don't know. Yeah.
But after listening to Split Myself in Two multiple times and then trying to listen to the rest of the album, I was like, okay, I get it. It's like, he uses this weird thing in some of the songs where it's like he's intentionally letting himself go out of tune.
Yes, yeah.
He's like hollering. He's like doing that kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a bit obnoxious, but it totally works for the song, for the music that they're making. I was like, it was a bit of a hurdle at first, and then immediately I was like, okay, I'm fine. It's like, have you ever listened to a band clap your hands and say yeah?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. That guy's voice is very much like, it's like someone's voice is breaking the whole time. It's like,
yes, yeah.
like that kind of thing going on, but it's like, again, it totally works for them. It goes a fucking mile a minute. Split Myself in Two.
It's almost like a thrash record.
Yeah.
Boy.
I mean, it opens very, very strong with that. It's like, it's a real fucking fast, thrashy kind of punk track right out of the gate. And the nice sort of fast-paced, breathlessy kind of atonal vocals really add a bit of character to it. Magic Toy Missing, again, another mile a minute track with like really a lot more emphasis on the bluegrass elements.
Yeah.
Lost, more subdued, and it's a legit country ballad. Like, just go straight country for that one.
That one's a lot more ballady.
That was the beginning of me sort of seeing there's a trend in the album where it's like they'll go hard, a little less hard, and it becomes a little bit more country-ish.
Yes, yeah.
And country music doesn't really do anything for me.
No.
So that's where it started to sort of fall apart. Plateau, the bass is punchy as fuck is what I wrote. Plod and Swagger and bass is punchy as fuck. I think that's where it got really... It was like a weird rattly effect they had on the bass. It sounded amazing. Aurora Borealis. Instantly tickled me because it's called Aurora Borealis.
I know, Steamed Hams have ruined that album.
You can't think of Aurora Borealis without asking.
You could even see the actual Aurora Borealis and it would be ruined by Steamed Ham. Isn't it majestic?
Why isn't it localized entirely within my kitchen?
Yeah.
It's cool. Instrumentation's really solid, but it feels like the most superfluous track so far.
Okay.
We're Here feels a little bit flat.
I don't even remember that one, yeah.
After the mix of high energy bluegrass, punk and chunky grooves that preceded it, it also just sort of abruptly ends.
Okay.
Like the track just sort of stops midway through. It feels like they kind of just didn't write an outro, or like the idea just finished and they were like, okay, done. We're done with that. Yeah. Climbing brings a bit more of that country balladry. Again, a pleasant track, but it definitely feels like the record has run out of gas by this point. The chaos and fun of the first few tracks is sort of vanished. Has a sweet guitar solo though. New Gods explodes out of the gate with a big second win for the record, fast as fuck, and get that crunchy guitar back. Another short, punchy, wailing kind of guitar solo that's going on. Like, definitely it feels like the album got more guitar solo-y as it went on as well. Like, like less straight up punk and more into like taking the nice sort of solo-y kind of stuff that you get in some country, but like again invigorating it with a bit punk and like electric aesthetic. Oh Me slows things down again, keeps that bit of bite, dirty bass in a big ass mood. Falls right nicely right into a groove in the last third and lots of great guitar work. Lake of Fire is a great song.
Oh, it's great. I love it.
Very, very noisy, like fucking wailing walls of like electric guitar and stuff going on.
Yeah. It's
and
great.
It's a bizarre track lyrically. It feels really, really menacing.
Yes.
Like obviously it's alluding to hell, Lake of Fire, all that sort of stuff. Like that feels very much like.
But it's got a sort of the actual sung. Maybe I shouldn't. But I've sung that when I've got a young child, and when you run out of songs to sing them in terms of lullabies, your brain just looks for something that's got a sort of lullaby quality to it.
Yeah.
So I have found myself singing Lake of Fire 2. You know, what would have been at the time probably a 3-month-old, and then you find yourself, because you can, you know, my partner would hear me on the monitor downstairs going, "Where bad folks go when they die, they don't go to heaven where the angels cry." And it's just like, but it's just sort of sung in a sort of nice lullaby sort of way that almost makes it more creepy.
Yeah. I think that's where I felt that sort of menacing, like sort of insidious evil about it. It's like there's something very, very creepy about that track.
So don't sing that to your children, despite it sounding sweet and lovely.
Yeah,
that's your takeaway, audience. Don't sing it to your children.
It's a nice contrast, and that sort of fits that bluegrassy kind of side of things very well, where it's like you can take something seemingly quite upbeat and or innocent and turn it into something quite scuzzy or slimy.
Yeah.
I'm a Mindless Idiot, the third instrumental track, and another hit with great guitar work and a sweet wee groove. The whistling song, a little bit of strut to this track. It's a lot of fun, but it feels like a kind of like a little bit of an anticlimax for the end of the album.
Yeah.
Technically the end of the album, because there's like 6 other tracks after it that I didn't listen to.
That's like
said that.
Yeah, that's like the CD, they released the B-sides. They're fine, but they don't really add anything.
So I would say overall, it feels like if there was like if there was a choice for it to maybe remove like 3 of the like sort of slightly more subdued tracks from there. No, even the instrumentals, because the instrumentals were always a lot of fun, but the slowed down, more country orientated tracks, if I were to lose them, it'd be an amazingly solid album.
Yeah.
But those tracks really detract from it in a weird way, because it kills the momentum of the album a lot. Like it feels like even the instrumental tracks have a little bit of a flow and a swagger to them. But it's a really solid album, and not at all like in a genre that I've ever really directly experienced before. I mean, the only like analogous band, like not specifically cowpunk, but like it sounded like Gogol Bordello. Gypsy punk, like that sort of weird like sub genre. It feels like it's a little bit of that, where it's taking so many influences from like slightly tangential genres and coalescing it into something that sounds completely different from everything else. I kind of like that. I like bands that kind of experiment with stuff like that and turn it into something completely new and weird. Yeah,
I thought you might like. So I think the ones that I've given you so far have all been quite esoteric. So I think, just to prove that I don't just like weird subgenres, I'll give you something really mainstream, really rock, really classic rock that I know you won't have listened to. Went to see The Cure recently, so I've been in a big goth ballad mood. I won't give you a Cure album, but I think I'll give you Ocean Rain by Echo and the Bunnymen.
Okay.
Echo and the Bunnymen are an interesting band, because they did that thing that a lot of bands in the 80s do, where they start off as sort of a little scuzzier, a little more post-punk, and then they have huge pop singles. And in a fair world, at a certain point, actually what people forget is Echo and the Bunnymen at one point could have been and were competing against U2 at the time.
Really?
So when U2 were having their big singles, this was when this album was out. Ocean Rain, probably about 1984 again. So in an alternate reality, they could have beaten U2 and become the biggest band in the world. They didn't do that. Whether that would have been good or not, you can't know. But this is probably them at their biggest in terms of pop and, well, not probably more classic rock, but it has an appeal to a sort of broader mainstreamer audience.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's I just love it. It's good. It's a good record. He's got a lovely voice, and it's just a great bit of just sort of gothy classic rock. So yeah, I think you like it.
I want to recommend the self-titled album by Giles Corey.
Giles Corey.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not anything I can really place in a genre. And that's kind of why I wanted to go for it at some point, because I was like, this album sort of, it's singer-songwritery.
Okay.
It's mostly acoustic led, but it's got a lot going on in it.
Okay, cool.
And it's so fucking miserable, it's unreal.
Yeah.
It's the guy who is like the main guy from Have a Nice Life.
Right.
That
Okay.
band, that sort of navel gazy, kind of like shoegazy,
Oh, I see. Aye, okay.
post-punk kind of band. But like Giles Corey is his side project, and it's mostly acoustic stuff, but it's all based around an idea of death and a fascination with the afterlife.
Okay.
And the Giles Corey name comes from the man Giles Corey, who during the Salem witch trials was accused of being a witch.
Right.
And he got pressed to death with stones.
Oh God, all right.
And he had chance after chance after chance to deny that he was a witch, but every single time he was given the chance, he just said more weight, and they pressed him to death.
Oh dear.
So that's where the name comes from, and as a result, you can tell that a lot of it's sort of fascinated with this occult sort of
Alright,
these
cool.
ties.
Okay.
And the album, when you buy the vinyl, which I did, because I fell so thoroughly in love with this record that I had to buy it, and
Okay.
like I went on eBay to get it, and it comes in this big box, and it's got a book with it.
Right.
And the book is written by the guy, I can't remember his name, the guy for Have a Nice Life, and it's really, really, really miserable, because it's basically him toying with the idea of killing himself. And
Okay.
like he is a depressive in real life, and he has attempted suicide in real life.
Okay.
And he does have these sort of suicidal tendencies, but he's turned it into this sort of worked shoot where it's like it's kind of real and kind of like part of this weird fiction that he's toying with.
Okay, yeah.
And he uses this thing. The book's entirely about him finding out about a cult leader.
Right, okay.
And this cult leader has his followers use these hoods, and they put these hoods on, and it restricts their breathing to such a degree that they basically are closer to death than they are to life while they're wearing them.
All right, okay.
So as a result, they start to be able to commune with the spirit world.
Right.
And they are communing when this sort of like occultish kind of this sort of weird idea that you're blending the two worlds together. Yeah, it's a fascinating concept for an album, and the tracks are haunting to say the least.
Okay.
And you can feel the concept bleed through in a lot of them, but most of them are just literally morbid ballads.
Sounds like it would be up my street. Okay, cool.
So
Yeah.
it's a dark one, but it's good. It's
Cool.
a legit masterpiece as far as I'm concerned. I love it.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Never heard of it. Okay.
That's it for another month, but like I said, we're actually going to follow this one up a little bit quicker because there's just so much to talk about. We've I think actively not spoken about some stuff because we know that we're going to have to tackle it in the broader spectrum of September as a month of releases, because there's a lot of stuff coming.
There's a lot of things coming.
Including the new Korn record. Can't wait, man.
New corn record, new JPEG.
Oh yeah.
What else?
That new Post Malone record came out today. No, not today, yesterday.
You gonna listen to that?
Fuck no.
I've never listened to it. Shall I listen to it? Internet? Should I? I know he's like he's one of these emotional rappers.
He's a sad boy.
Sad boy.
Or is he? I don't know. Is he just like a pop rapper now? Like, he has all the trappings of a sad boy. He's got the face tattoos and the shite music. So, like, is he a sad boy or is he something else? Is he a SoundCloud rapper or is he mainstream now because he does collaborations with big time fucking pop?
Can I do the dad joke about Post Malone?
On you go.
When was it Malone? I'm sure everybody's done that joke, but there you go. Post Malone, fuck it, I'll listen to it, right? I'll jump in arse first. And see if I can sit through it. The nice thing, I suppose, about the young people music mostly is, oh god, no, could Post Malone put out a 70-minute album?
I actually don't know. I don't know how long Beer Bongs and Bentleys was. That was his actual only main record up until this point.
Beer Bongs and Bentleys. It's funny how nu metal has had an influence subsequently. Like, we're of the generation that like were old enough to then be embarrassed by nu metal, whereas Post Malone's generation were susceptible to nu metal at a pre-adolescent age.
Beer Bongs and Bentleys is 18 tracks long and an hour and 4 minutes.
Oh my Christ.
Hollywood's Bleeding is his new one.
Okay.
And it's 17 songs and 51 minutes.
That's doable.
It's,
he says right now.
he looks like he needs a fucking wash, man.
A lot of these young rappers do.
If you're not if you're not fucking Mastodon, you shouldn't have face tattoos.
You miss the days of what nice white Adidas trainers, a washable leather jacket, Run DMC, nice hats.
Yeah. It's like the aesthetic for SoundCloud rappers seemingly is you look like you fell through a barrel of shit and needles.
Do you remember that episode of Nathan Barley where Gillian Barrett falls asleep in the paint?
Yeah.
And then runs to the hairdressers?
Yeah.
That's the secret influence, I think. Geek pie.
The geek pie aesthetic.
Yeah, with a bag on your head. And it's got the single greatest single of all time. you know what I'm talking about.
By the
bikes. Did they actually release that as a song, or
not
was
that I'm
just,
aware of?
because they could have made loads of, that is such a good song. If there's one takeaway from this episode, make sure you listen to
Terrorists Are Gay by the bikes.
I'm going to listen to that on my way home.
Oh, I'll link it in the description. It's so... if I can find it on YouTube, which I suspect I will. So, that's the full... That's it. We're done.
Yeah, we're done.
I think.
Yes.
So, yeah. Listen to more music. And join us next month, in a couple of weeks' time, probably, for more. So, check the links in the description.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of good stuff to listen to and some not so good stuff to not listen to. And have a good one.
Yes. See you soon. Bye.